This is Sound and Vision from KEXP, and I want to revisit a story I loved from Sound and Vision's occasional series we did a while back called Day Job, where we talk with musicians about the day jobs they do in order to get by. And for today's story, Rachel Stevens introduces us to the Seattle area musician.
I'm Hozoji Roseanne Mathison-Margolis. I play drums in the band Helms Alee. I also work for the Puyallup Tribe as a independently contracted shellfish biology diver.
Scuba diving and playing a metal gig. Seemingly, these are worlds apart. But when Hozoji is on stage, she finds the similarity between the two pretty quickly.
It's an extremely vulnerable place to be in front of a group of strangers playing songs that you wrote of this extremely personal. It's like standing naked in front of a group of people and having them be like, oh, your nipples are weird, you know? Just like, or whatever. It's extremely, extremely vulnerable. And so there's moments where I feel like extra naked when I'm up there. And then those times are when I will think about being underwater, because that place is so utterly different than up here, you know, like it's weird everyday life stuff that just utterly disappears when I am underwater.
And Hozoji is underwater a lot because that's her day job.
I dive. I do biodives for the Puyallup Tribe, doing surveys of their geoduck tracts, counting geoducks.
Oh, you've never heard of geoducks?
Well, geoducks are humongous, really hilarious-looking clams.
Hilarious, because they are super phallic, reaching over 3 feet in length sometimes. They're also delicious, and valued at about $30 a pound.
Before European settlers came here, it was one of the main sources of food for the people who originally lived here. So I'm a Puyallup tribal member. I work directly with the Puyallup tribe, and geoduck has long been a very important food source for us.
Harvesting geoducks used to be insanely labor-intensive because they can live up to 3 feet under the sand. You would have to dive deep down and dig with your hands or a stick, dig this huge hole to get just one geoduck. But this was kind of okay because they are so vital to the health of our waters.
They're little vacuum cleaners that keep our waters clean and healthy.
But today,
a lot of it is done by diving, where you dive underwater. You have a high-pressure water hose, basically, that you take and you shove into the sand next to the geoduck, and you just blast the sand from around the base of the geoduck and pop it out.
It's a lot easier now to harvest geoducks, which puts our ecosystem in danger because they're so sought after. So it's Hozoji's job to make sure we're taking care of the Puget Sound. She's passionate about this job for many reasons. One reason being that she really cares about and relates to the geoduck itself.
Geoduck are entirely sedentary. Once they have settled into their spot in the sand, they will never, ever move again. And they do that within, I just learned this recently, actually, in school, within about a month and a half of existence. The poeticness of a geoduck staying sedentary its entire life. I mean, yes, of course, there's plenty of human beings. We all know human beings that, me being one of them, I was born and raised in Tacoma. I don't foresee myself ever leaving Tacoma because it's the right spot for me. It feels good to me there.
Hozoji loves Tacoma and the Puget Sound. But she also loves touring with Helms Alee. So finding a job that worked with her music was difficult. Before becoming a diver, Hozoji had a quote-unquote long string of crappy jobs.
That would mean that if tour came along and my boss was like, no, you can't leave, then I would just go anyway because I didn't care, right? I'd just get another crappy job when I get home, which is fine for a while, but as you get older, it just becomes less sustainable. And so I did want a more real job, but I was 100% unwilling to let any kind of jobby job get in the way of music.
And now, as an independent contract diver, Hozoji says she makes great money. But that means she has to budget and manage her schedule around these dive opportunities.
You know, that's the trade-off, is like the freedom, but then you have to budget. You have to get really good at looking out for your money situation because it's definitely a feast or famine kind of industry.
And so after living on the water her whole life, Hozoji jumped into geoduck diving 8 years ago.
The first time that I ever went under, there's so much more color and life to it than what you expect and what you see from the surface. And having been born and raised in Tacoma, I have, I think, an inherent appreciation for this weird combination of industry and natural beauty, because Tacoma's right on this port, so we're surrounded by cranes and ships and, you know, all sorts of, you know, big plumes of gross smoke. But then also, you know, state parks and beautiful fjords of super nutrient-rich bodies of water being fed by Mount Rainier, you know, so it's a really weird combination of things that I just was born to love, I guess. That's true underwater here too. You know, you'll be kicking around down there and you come across a toilet or a car or a pile of tires. So there'll be a toilet just covered in these beautiful Metridium sea anemones, this bright orange trees, you know, and purple starfish and rock crabs and stuff like that. So it just, the first time I ever went down, I was like, oh, this is extremely beautiful and very peaceful. It's not nearly as terrifying as my brain had built it up to be as a child swimming in this dark, murky water.
That weird combination that Hozoji describes and says she was born to love, that gritty industry paired with natural beauty. I mean, that's kind of the perfect description of the music of Helms Alee.
Helms Alee is weird music, so I don't know how to describe Helms Alee's music other than it's rock-based. It's melodic at times, it's rowdy, noisy, and gross sounding at times. And it's a culmination of our three very, very different personalities coming out through sound.
So the three members of Helms Alee is Hozoji on drums, guitarist Ben Vellerin, and bassist Dana James. And fans quickly pick up on the band's connection with the Puget Sound.
Ben's style of guitar playing and the effects that he uses to create the sound that he has for Helms Alee just sound very watery to me. There's lots of delay and reverb and clarity or a combination, I guess, of clarity and murkiness that to me just reminds me of being underwater. So well before this theme started to get really dominant in our band, I would think about being underwater just by hearing his riffs. Just the sound of him playing guitar makes me feel that similar feeling.
There's a nautical theme that shows up almost everywhere for Helms Alee. Helms Alee is even what sailors are supposed to say when they're going under the sail.
We all three just really spend a lot of time on, in, around the salty seas of Puget Sound. So it just keeps coming out.
And what's coming out is a lot of new music from this band. New videos, more tour dates. Helms Alee has been together for more than 12 years, and they are still going at an impressive clip.
None of us want it to be a full-time career. All three of us have outside interests that are super important to us.
Ben creates custom amplifiers and owns a bar in Fremont. Dana's in school right now for accounting and has a day job, also in Fremont. And Hozoji is diving and working on her PhD in marine biology at the University of Washington.
We all have good things outside of our band that help sustain our band.
Day jobs.
Day jobs, yes. I would just love for our band to continue on the path that we're on. We're just getting to a point where we are able to tour and come home with a little bit of money to pay bills. You know, we're 12 years deep and just getting to that point, and that feels really good to know that we don't have to completely flip our lives upside down to continue pursuing music. That the music that we work really hard on all the time is being appreciated by people other than ourselves. That feels awesome. So if we can just keep that rolling, I'm good, you know.
That was Hozoji Roseanne Mathison-Margolis of Helms Alee talking about her day job as a gooey duck diver. The story first aired in October of 2019. The story was written by Rachel Stevens with reporting by Brie Ripley and Ryan Sparks.
Angles force what we make up as fate. When open hands serve to hide your face. We're much for left in the dust and breeze. Dirt swallows dreams, but you know once things happen at sea.
That was Sound and Vision. Before you go, please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, rate it, and review it. Those little things go a long way in letting other people know that this podcast exists and is worthy of their time. You can also go the extra mile and help financially support this show with a one-time $20 donation at kexp.org/sound. Thanks so much.